When did politics stop being about solutions and start being about winning?
America knows that this world of ours, ever growing smaller, must avoid becoming a community of dreadful fear and hate.
I can give you a conspiratorial answer, and I believe it began a couple years before World War II, but in recent years, it seemed to begin around the 2010s. The era that we live in prioritizes identity over reason, a time where followers of extreme ideologies don't just support a figure, they become it. We've turned our political system into a spectacle, a game where the only goal is to anger the opposition while the actual problems facing Americans are being disregarded. Whether it's defense of hostile threats against allies,
you can take a manual and add Hans, you can add Ludwig, you can add every name in the book, it's all the same.
Or the rise of anti-establishment, contrarianism is providing the foundation of our new meme culture. This is creating a cycle of chaos. We seek influencers' opinions like Hassan's or Nick Fuentes for answers, but more often than not, we just find inconsistent rhetoric and people making profit off our division. But this isn't just about what's happening on our screen. It's about a system rigged by billionaires and foreign influences, a system that has been failing us long before 2016. I used to be optimistic. I voted in 2016 thinking change was coming. The vote I casted was towards Donald Trump. The second election, I did not vote. But after seeing the same patterns of corruption from historical atrocities from Tuskegee experiments to the modern day shadows of Jeffrey Epstein, the optimism has vanished. We have been brainwashed into fighting each other over identity politics while the real villains masquerade as our representatives. Today, we aren't just complaining, we're tearing down the illusion of American exceptionalism to look at what actually matters. Illegalizing lobbying, enforcing term limits, and taking the power back from the few, because we have the numbers, but they have control right now. It is time to stop fighting potential allies and start fighting the system. Many of these followers of extreme ideologies make it their identity and disregard reason when it comes to justifying the actions that have been committed. This gives the followers a reason to objectively defend bad decisions made by that group or figure. They have defense tactics used when someone socially identifies with that figure, only using group narratives to justify actions done by them. They see it as a game, where it is a spectacle within our political system that needs to be won, rather than a team accomplishing a goal. They focus on disrupting and angering the opposition for the fun of it. An example I can think of is Donald Trump making hostile and aggressive threats and decisions to other nations that are our allies. Even if they're not our allies, it is none of our taxpayer money's interest to involve this type of situation, speaking of Venezuela. This also goes against his campaign promises, yet we have MAGA followers desperately trying to justify every action he is committing. It's a cycle that continues, and it began in 2016. The rise of contrarian approach in mainstream concept is known as anti-establishment orientation. The meme culture thrives on this idea. It goes with chaos or nothing. This means these individuals are seeking to create the chaos with intent to see instability for the purpose of a system that has failed them. They view that they should be prioritized of their ideology. This reminds me of the saying, "Me, but not for thee," where many people cause problematic actions for the sake of winning or being right, rather than seeking a solution as a country. An example I can think of is choosing a side, determining which one is correct. The fact is, Obama and Trump administration didn't accomplish much more than what we wanted to see. I say this because the system is rigged within the billionaires and foreign influences. It is a fact at this point that the influences are even spreading through different countries. Media influencers play a game and decide what young individuals' opinions should dictate the political system. I have two examples of extreme political influencers from both aisles of American ideologies. We have Hassan and Nick Fuentes. They like to pick and choose knowledge from their ideologies to make convincing arguments that do not support the American system. Don't get me wrong, they have the First Amendment to support the protection of that speech that is being said. But this ideology does not support the system that they're trying to explain. Hassan, with his socialistic attributes within his ideology, could potentially help our society, but his rhetoric is inconsistent with the political concept he supports. This goes along with Fuentes' aspect and theological system that should be implemented in America, but as that is mainly anti-American or unconstitutional. Many internet warriors use their statements that don't support the whole solution that they claim they have. It is all over the place, does not have a major intention of honesty, and at the end of the day, these are influencers trying to make money rather than creating civil rights organizations to push forward their advocacy of their concepts. The battle of American exceptionalism is always going to continue in the United States of America. Ideas that stem outside of America are always frowned upon by both political parties. Concepts such as universal health care are seen as money dumping from conservatives. Strict gun control is supported by the liberals and progressives. These ideas are not what we should be worried about at the moment. It has to be the politicians and the billionaires. We as a people have the ability to implement change, but we are here arguing verbally rather than using actions that we all can agree upon a center line. This cycle is going to continue, especially with the new generation that fails to perceive that action is more important than complaining. We have the alt-right claiming that many of these conspiracy theories are true, then on the left claiming that political correctness is a one-all solution for getting rid of all the problems within our system. Politicians that we vote for are masquerading as supporters of the people, but in reality, we are influenced by the actual villains via Israel, billionaires, and particular federal agencies. Now, I'm not going to say that all these conspiracy theories are true or say that identity politics is so important in improving our system. What I'm saying is having policies that prevent these power-hungry individuals from having more control over us will help us get to the issue that we are arguing about. Forget the division. Find a solution that we can implement as the people rather than fighting between each other. Does not make sense to have potential allies as your enemies when you can fight together. Years ago, I had an optimistic attitude towards our future when Trump was president around 2016. That's the only time I voted. The next election, I didn't vote for anyone. To me, it was obvious that Trump was not authentic, like the rest of the presidents. At this point, I have a cynical point of view of anyone that has power. There are many historical events in United States history that we have yet to be taught that show how corrupt our system is. Events such as the Tuskegee experiments, Martin Luther King's assassination, Jeffrey Epstein, and much more. The crazy part is the situations are not hidden. You can look them up and they're documented. We have paper documents, video documentaries, verbal confirmations of these atrocities that the system has committed. The sad truth is, we Americans are too comfortable for sacrifice. Now, I understand many of us have made decisions for certain sacrifices to gain personally, but the sacrifice what I'm trying to describe requires more willpower and commitment. The main issue is that Americans from either side are brainwashed. This is coming from an anecdotal and online banter. I'll start off with the online banter since it's consistent. I have seen many videos of influencers describing their life outside of America. They exemplify the socialistic attributes that many of these foreign countries have. In the grand scheme of things, they are great, such as universal health care, government transportation systems, accessible infrastructure, and much more. I'm not hating on the American system. It's constructive criticism that many of you Americans take as hatred. This is how biased majority of Americans are, unwilling to take constructive criticism or even apply it to certain concepts that can improve our society. Instead, many of these Americans generalize these ideas as evil, but praise Nazism as a whole good concept. Now, I'm not saying Nazism is everywhere, but it's humorously praised through the memes because of Nick Fuentes. As for the left, having an extreme crisis in what identity politics is not every step that can provide the one-all ticket to accomplishing our goals. Creating a toxic environment where everything is stepping on eggshells is not the solution. I'm saying that none of these ideas are going to save America. A concept that will improve our system is to limit the ability of the politicians and billionaires to have influence in America. Policies that can save this would be making lobbying illegal, shorter term limits, limiting or banning trading when a political figure is in a position of power, and there's much more. The whole idea is we are the numbers, they are the few. Granted, these government agencies are growing and getting bigger, but we have the say at the end of the day.